Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we watched some brand new Muppets, Sam. That's right, we are this week discussing the entire first season of the Muppets Mayhem, all 10 episodes. And
this will be an 8-hour-long episode.
Thankfully, no, that is not the plan. We are not going to marathon.
We'll see.
We will not be talking about these episodes as in-depth as we normally do with the Fraggle Rock episodes of The Muppet Show, where we talk about, 3 or 4 episodes at a time, again, because it would take 8 hours. So we are going to just cover our overall feelings on the episodes. We will talk about some specifics from the episodes. Obviously, spoilers abound. But yeah, maybe one day in 10 years when we're talking about Muppets Mayhem again, we will be talking about it more in depth. But
don't say
now,
maybe. Why'd you say maybe?
I don't know. Maybe it's a slip of the tongue.
Definitely one day. Don't put that into the world. We're here forever.
I think
I'll
maybe
do it
maybe,
one way or the other. I'll be here, okay?
I think the maybe in my head was more about the 10 years as opposed to the actual watching of it. I am convinced we will watch Muppets Mayhem and discuss it in detail later on, but I think the maybe was like, what if something happens and it turns out that's actually like 15, 20 years from now? We won't actually ever catch up. It's impossible.
What if the Muppet Library of Alexandria burns down and we lose every single thing, and then the next episode will just be like, oh, well.
We're talking about Muppets Mayhem again.
Fraggle Rock was destroyed, as was everything else, so.
See, you're putting on a horrible energy into the universe right now.
That would be actually really scary. That seems, number one, possible, and number two, horrible.
And it does sort of happen from time to time where the YouTube things we watch just disappear. Sometimes very shortly after we watch and discuss them. So maybe we're to blame that we're highlighting and putting a spotlight on these things. And people go, Disney's like, wait a minute, what's out there? Delete.
Yeah. Oh, shit. There have been times in the past where I've cut out us saying the person's name or like the video's name.
Ooh.
To be like, come on, we can't blow up their spot. But I would guess we're to blame for that. It's at least like once,
Well, sorry if we are to blame for that.
Disney, just don't do that, okay?
Yeah.
Or put it on, like, rip it. Use MP4 downloader or whatever and upload it on Disney Plus, please.
Well, speaking of Disney Plus, they did recently come out and say, hey, we might be removing some things from our platforms in the future. Hopefully, that doesn't mean any Muppets things. Fingers crossed. But
I'd be surprised if it did.
I would be too, especially, something big like the Muppet Show. Obviously,
I could
HBO
see maybe
Max.
Muppets Now going away. Maybe?
I don't think so. I think original content will stay.
Okay.
Things that were created for Disney Plus will stay. I think it's much like HBO Max did with getting rid of things that they are paying licensing fees for.
Right.
That they maybe don't actually own, that they would get rid of. So we might see some older content that maybe Disney doesn't directly own go away. But who knows? I don't know much. So we'll see.
I think you do. I think you know a lot.
Well, instead of hearing us blabber on, we should probably talk to some people who know much more than either of us do about these Muppets Mayhem episodes, because we were lucky enough to get to chat with the creators of the Muppets Mayhem, Adam F. Goldberg, Jeff Yorks, and Bill Barretta. And we only got about 15 minutes to chat with them. So they're not here for the rest of the episode.
We were part of a junket.
Yes, we were part of
my first junket ever.
Yeah, same. I assumed this is how they worked, where it was like you get in, you get out, you ask as many questions as you can in a limited number of time. And it was fun. It was great to get to talk to those guys. Hopefully, at some point in the future, we can have some of them on either all together or individually to talk about more Muppets stuff and have some more time to discuss this stuff with them. But we had a great chat. with them, we didn't have any time to do real like introductions of who everyone is during the chat. So you might not immediately be able to tell the difference between all of the voices of like, you know, who's Adam, who's Bill, who's Jeff. But I think based on the answers, you might be able to figure it out. I also wanted to add before we get into that section, you will hear a question in there that I asked where the writer's strike gets mentioned. I sort of asked what is the future? Like, are you picturing a future? And, you know, I didn't even think before asking that question that we are currently in the middle of a writer's strike. And
I think it had started that morning or something, right?
It was like that day or a couple days beforehand. And it's one of those things where, you know, it's a question I was like, yeah, obviously I want to ask about the future and the ideas they have, but that's not something we can discuss during the writer's strike. And so
they're allowed to have no ideas.
Yeah, we cannot generate new ideas for potential content.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there are certain limitations on what they could and could not discuss, but thankfully that did not affect the majority of our conversation. So yeah, let's go ahead and get in to this conversation with the creators of the Muppets Mayhem. Thanks for doing this, guys. It's lovely to meet all of you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for asking us.
Nice to finally meet you.
Yeah.
Tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, so the podcast is called Commitment. The goal is to go and watch everything the Muppets have ever done from beginning to end. We've been doing it for 2 years now, and we're currently in 1984.
Wow.
You'll get to us shortly. No time at all.
The joke is that in 10 years, we'll be able to deep dive into Muppets Mayhem.
What happened to 84 in 84 that you love?
I mean, we're on Fraggle
Rock.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
That's
so
great.
we're coming up on Muppets Take Manhattan, which is exciting.
Someone just sent me the UK cut of the Muppet movie.
Oh, yeah.
What is that? Does it have a camel? Does it have like Statler and Waldorf and a camel in it?
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm very curious.
Send it over.
I can forward it on to everybody.
Hey, Jeff couldn't be on these next 6 junkets. Watching the Muppet movie.
Well, actually, I think that I'll go ahead and jump in with my first question. I think that relates to it because I think as we've gone through years and years of watching Muppet content at this point from beginning to 1984, the thing we realize is that there's never really been a consistent Muppet canon. Like things change all the time. When things start, when things are referred to changes a lot. Most of the time it seems like the Muppet Show has happened and the Muppet movie has happened, but they don't necessarily bring up events from Muppets Tonight. So is there a way that when you started working on this show that you approached the idea of a Muppet canon, what came before, and were there specific Muppet projects that you went back and watched before starting this show?
I'll say for me, there wasn't anything I went back to watch. I think I was excited about the idea of doing something that was just about the band, that didn't have to do with anybody else, and didn't matter what Kermit was doing or how Piggy was involved, and so maybe to me, it wasn't about the canon. You know, I just think it was about a new experience that we were hoping to kind of broaden the base, as Adam has always said, and Jeff, you know, let's do what Star Wars does, and you know, open up the what do you call it? The
universe.
Thank you, the universe. Yes.
You know, I totally agree with what you're saying. You know, and that was one of the things I think we embraced, but that there is not really truly a Muppet canon. They rarely stick to it. So we had some rules, but we, you know, were loose enough to play with them. As for me, I didn't even have to be asked. I watched everything again. I had to catch up on the Muppets television series from a few years ago because I only watched a few of those. But it was great. And then again, we knew what we were doing, I think, from the get-go. It didn't truly affect how we were going to approach it.
I will jump in also and say, in my brain, this is Iron Man. For Marvel, right? The Marvel Cinematic Universe started with that movie. We're starting with the band, and our hope is that Disney sees that this can be Marvel or Star Wars, that there's just so many characters that you could do shows, movies, specials, and we were kind of like, this is the start. So for us, we're like inventing a canon in a kind of way and taking it really seriously. Now, whether Disney wants to do it or not, that's their call. We really hope they see the kind of like merits to this IP, because
it's the audience's call.
Right. It's the audience's call as well. So everyone who listens to this podcast has to just just not only binge the show, but just play the episodes as you're doing housework or brushing your teeth. Just play it in the background.
Yeah.
We need
to rewatch it over and over. There are things you'll discover. I think that was also one of the things that we put into the show, is there are reasons to rewatch it. Certainly our opening title sequence, you will understand more of it, what you're seeing as you watched more of the show. And certainly the Easter eggs and little things here and there.
Could you say one little thing is that, really there's only one original performer that is still around that does the character in the band, right? So though the rest of us have been doing it for a long time, still the characters had not really been explored a whole lot. We started to do it back in 2015, and also over the years, you find things that don't make it to the screen that we're just messing around on the set and things are happening. We go, oh, we should try that the next time. That's a fun thing for Janice, or that's a fun. And what we got to do was really explore that even more and expand, on what the guys had been playing with and thinking about, and what the original guys had always talked about as part of their characters. But I think we really got to have some fun, and it's just really good. It's really
I mean, to compare to another really IP, it's sort of like not just Marvel, it's Star Wars. We sort of saw it as our Mandalorian, where you could sort of do something that's very, that's of that world, but doesn't have to follow the rules of that world. And you have these characters that are known, but not truly fully known, giving us a lot of freedom.
Cool. I think you answered my next question, which was what made you want to tell a story about the Electric Mayhem? Maybe building on that a little bit, was it like a tough sell to be like, this ain't a Kermit story? Or were people excited about it?
I think the funny thing is, I think the three of us, though weren't thinking about it together until Muppet Studios brought us together. I think we were all thinking about it around the same time. We did Outside Lands, a concert in San Francisco. And that just made me think we should take these guys on tour and do something as their own thing. And so I had pitched that idea to the Muppet Studios, and it was like, they were like, that sounds like a fun idea. And then I won't just I'll just speak for you guys, but Adam and Jeff came with a better, I think, approach to the overall story idea, the theme of the show. And they came in, I didn't know that they had been thinking about something for years. And they brought us together. And so we started to develop this thing, and the timing was right, I guess. Everybody got excited, right?
Yeah. I mean, I made a living as a trailer editor, and I would cut trailers to help people sell shows. And so finally I was like, this is a show idea, and I'm going to cut a trailer for it. And I think it does help a lot, because it's the tone of the show. I think
and funny enough, like our promos were the trailer that Jeff cut.
That first teaser is the first third of my pitch trailer, but now being cut with our footage. It's crazy, but it is. It's just about the tone.
And in terms of like, was there any pushback, like where's Kermit, or we just went in and presented a show that we saw. Writing for Muppets and producing Muppets is so complicated. It would have been overwhelming to have that bench of every character, and intimidating for me as a writer and someone who just like grew up, Muppets is in my DNA. So for me to be tasked with writing a Miss Piggy, I don't know that I was quite ready for that. This was like the perfect way for me to learn the chaos, to meet the performers who are so important to the process. I mean, they are the characters. I don't want to be a stranger going up to Fozzie Bear and being like, here's what I think. Like, I need to know the performers before I really, want to dive into everybody. So this was just a great small introduction. Characters who they're iconic, but they really haven't been drawn out, so we could kind of do our own thing and also learn and become part of the team. That was the most important thing, being part of the team.
I think I used to be the kind of occasional poo-pooer when they were like, let's have a piece of cheese say, because it's really fun to have inanimate objects speak, and can another character come in, and I kept thinking to myself, no, let's just try and keep this to the band as much as possible. But we did find some other ways to bring in some new things. And I think people are going to enjoy it because it's less is more in a way. There's going to be some characters that they're not expecting, and used in a very specific and funny way,
so
it
makes sense.
yeah, it feels right to this show,
It was also really important, Bill, from the production standpoint, because we hadn't done a Muppet production. And in the writers' room, we'd be like, okay, so all the characters come barreling down the stairs, and you're like, and that's a tough thing as a writer.
We'll get to that later.
On the first day, we're 2 hours into shooting, and someone comes in, they're like, okay, so we are 4 hours behind. What? And we learned
4 days behind.
4 days. Sorry, we were 4 days
behind. 2 hours in.
Yes,
but that was a prediction, actually, because it happens with Muppet productions. It's it's logistically challenging because it's just a unique situation. And so fortunately we have such a great crew and a lot of people who have worked with the Muppets before, so that kind of already is ahead of the learning curve, but there's still a lot of people who haven't. And so the first week and maybe 2 weeks, there is something that is just a learning curve, and things do take longer, and people are pulling their hair out and they're saying, why? And then everybody starts to get the groove, and it starts to just become this beautiful machine where everybody's killing themselves and working so hard, but they're so devoted because they're enjoying the joy of the set. It starts to kind of come out of what we've written and created for them to pull together for us.
The irony is, like, when you're the best at something, you make it look so easy, right? So you have these puppeteers who are the best in the world, right? So everyone
go on. Yeah.
Everyone kind of, like, I think the way that I thought of a Muppet was that it had a lower half, because sometimes they will have a lower half.
Like dangle, you mean?
No, just
like
that it's a real thing. It has legs and it walks around.
Yeah.
You buy into it so much because it looks so effortless when you watch it. And then you go and you're like, oh, for a Muppet to walk through a door, there is no lower half. There's a person there, and there's another person operating the other hand. There's someone moving the monitors around. There's someone moving cables around. To walk through a door takes like 8 people. So it's like, and we wrote a scene where we have the whole band, entering through different doors. So this scene's gonna take forever. You don't think about that. Like, because it looks so easy, it's only when you're in the trenches that you're like, oh, okay, this is really hard.
I think the way you talked about the cinematic universe, this Iron Man moment for this show is really obviously exciting as a Muppet fan of like where this could go. And so, like, in your head, maybe each of you have a different answer to this. What comes next after that Iron Man moment? Is there a next character you want to do a show about, a next series of characters, a next show you have in mind? Is it Pigs in Space? Whatever it is there something that if Disney says tomorrow, yes, go make that Muppet Cinematic Universe, that you're like, yep, got it?
I will jump in and say, unfortunately, we're at a writer's strike right now. So
yes,
we can't talk about the future.
Yeah.
But Bill, Jeff, and I would be honored to continue that future. I mean, look, Bill voices so many of the characters, so he's going to be there no matter what. Jeff and I are just guests right now, but we have big lofty dreams of how we could continue this. Other shows and the whole 9 yards. So we hope that the audience is there,
Can I mention things that have been brought up in the past?
Sure, that you can.
Just in my little mind, I just think there's something about specials too that's fun, that could help expand this universe. And I think there's some older ideas of maybe just focusing on species, right? So a pig-centric special story, right? Or rats, or that's been stuff that we've talked about in the past. So I think the three of us could just kill something, it's just so much fun to keep figuring out, I even had pitched a while back, Pepe doing telenovela type of, shows. But yeah, I mean, we should expand like that.
It's truly up to the audience. It's up to the audience to show that there's a demand and that people want to keep seeing this stuff, hopefully from us. And then, the powers that be to say, let's give it to them.
I should say, actually, the telenovela idea was Kirk Thatcher's years ago. So I don't want to take credit for that. That's a fun.
Yeah. Thank you guys again for doing this.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Hopefully
it.
next time we have more time. I just we love talking about this. So
enjoy the rest of your Muppet journey. Good luck with your.
Got a long time to go.
Oh my God.
Twitter. I'll see you.
I'll see you in 2050.
So yeah, that was an extremely cool experience. I still sort of afterwards, we had not watched the show when we interviewed them. So now after we watch the show and I'm watching the opening credits and I see that pop up, that title card where it's like Adam F. Goldberg, Jeff Yorks, and Bill Barretta, I'm like, hey, we kind of know those guys now. We talked to them once for 15 minutes.
I think like what came across to me was how enthusiastic they were. And as I sat down and watched the show, I mean, I don't think it's fair exactly to say that I was skeptical, but as I sat down and watched it, I was like, here's a Muppet thing. This is scary. But then I was like, these people were enthusiastic and it really carried through to what they made.
Yeah, it feels like to me, and I don't want to I'm not bringing this up to put down Muppets Now, but the energy behind the conversations I heard surrounding Muppets Now when it was coming out, as far as on some podcasts after it came out and all this stuff, people seemed a little disappointed in what they ended up putting out there. As far as not the actual jokes, the writing, whatever, but as far as the way it was distributed, the way it came together, they seemed that's not exactly what we were picturing. Compared to this, feels like these guys got to do exactly what they wanted to do, and are excited to share this show and have people see it.
Well, we should just start talking about it.
Well, first you got to tell us what we watched, Sam.
All right. Music-loving, ambitious loser Nora works as an assistant to Penny Waxman, the CEO of Wax Records, a small record label in LA. When Nora catches wind that Penny is considering selling the label off to Nora's ex-boyfriend and tech entrepreneur JJ, she decides to do anything she can to save Wax Records. When going through old client files for ideas, she finds a contract to record an album written up in the 70s with Muppet Show house band and international superstars the Electric Mayhem. The thing is, the Electric Mayhem have been on a continuous tour since the 70s and have famously never recorded an album. Knowing that she's found the golden ticket to saving her label, Nora tracks down the band, ingratiates herself to them with the help of superfan Moog, lies to them that she is a big shot executive, and convinces them to honor the contract and finally record that album. Along the way, the band, Nora, and Moog must confront their own past failures, lies, and regrets, navigate the perils of social media and the modern recording industry, and try to remain authentic to themselves and each other. And they do. They record an album and play the Hollywood Bowl, and JJ's plan is foiled, and they all become a big found family ready for their next adventure.
So I want to start off this conversation by saying that I find it interesting that when a new thing comes out, Muppets or not, the way fans react online is there's two schools that I see of people reacting. One is, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened, and all other recent things sucked. They feel like they have to put down other things to reinforce that they really like this thing.
Other Muppet projects.
Yeah, so lots of, I understand, when people say this is the best Muppets thing in the past 10 years, cool, that's fine. But when people are getting really specific and, this show shows all the reasons that the Muppets 2015 series sucked, and this and da-da-da. I'm seeing a lot of this.
I felt like they had a lot of DNA in common. Personally.
Well, they also have the same director, and they there's crew who has worked on both shows. So it's also you're putting down that person's past work to celebrate their current work, which is weird.
They
to
have
me.
The same director.
Yeah, well, at least for some of the episodes, Matt Son, it's SOHN. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Son, maybe. Matt Son directed a lot of the 2015 series and this series. But it's one of those things where it's really interesting, and I the other side of that is that I see people who feel like they have to soften their enjoyment, where they're saying yeah, I really enjoyed it, but there is this thing I didn't love, and it's yeah, that's everything ever. That's just media. Nothing is 100% perfect. You can always find something you're not going to love, especially if you try to get nitpicky on a podcast, I'm sure we will do. But it makes me feel kind of sad that that's the way people are feeling like they have to talk about this show. They can't just say, oh my God, I love the Muppets Mayhem. It's so great. Everyone should go watch it. They feel like they have to couch it with either I really loved it, and yes, I acknowledge that this thing is maybe not the best. Or they're saying, oh my God, I loved it so much. It's so much better than these shitty things. it just made me sad that everyone seemed to be dunking on other things. When it's, it's kind of that idea of, every band is somebody's favorite band. And as a person who loves the 2015 series, I have gone back and watched that thing at least 3 times all the way through. I'm not hurt by people saying that series sucked, but I'm like, okay, I enjoy both of these things. I enjoy the 2015 series. Spoiler alert, I enjoyed the Muppets Mayhem. And so it's interesting to feel like you have to dunk on something to publicly announce your enjoyment of the other thing. Don't even bring up those old projects. Like, just let's focus on this new one, this new exciting one, and have fun with it while we have it and enjoy it. Which I guess leads me into asking Sam, overall, how did you feel about the Muppets Mayhem?
I sort of loved it. I think and it feels weird because we interviewed him, but my expectations were low, just based on stuff.
I think it's a healthy skepticism. I don't think it's necessarily a pessimism or a doubt in their abilities. I think it's just that thing of we have so, ingrained ourselves in Muppets at this point that we just and we also, I think, know what the reaction would be if it sucked.
Right.
I think we would be prepared for everyone to be terribly negative about it if it was bad, which thankfully it's not. If you had to pick one of your favorite things, just your overall 1 or 2 favorite things from this entire series, what would you pick?
I think overall, a lot of the jokes really worked for me and made me laugh. One of my favorite things I think one of my biggest qualms was with Animal because he was so calm. But I think one of my favorite things in the whole series was when he got mad at them and he stormed out of the room and he walked straight through the plate glass window. Is that
good.
like specific moments, I guess, maybe isn't necessarily what you mean. But also Animal and Ben Schwartz, that whole moment was extremely good. The whole Dr. Teeth's family episode. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's more it would be easier for me to pick out moments I didn't like than things about it that I did.
Which I'm sure we'll do. I just wanted to get some of the liking out of the way first before we dive into the too negative.
Lips, I was so prepared to be Lips is so fucking annoying. But I loved Lips. He was great. He kind of stepped into the Zoot role a little bit, which is one of the things I was a little bit was weird to me that Zoot was kind of a very minimal presence throughout it.
Yeah, which I don't know if it's about the availability of Dave Goelz necessarily being on set or what, but it did feel like if you had to pick one of the Mayhem characters who got the least character development in this, it would be Zoot.
Yeah. And he still does get some, but
he's there a lot of the time and he's doing a lot of stuff, but it's not necessarily as consequential as everyone else where
they leaned really hard into him being a burnout whose brain barely works.
But yeah, I wrote down 3 favorite things, and I agree with most of what you were saying about the animal walking through the door is fantastic. I enjoyed the Floyd Dr. Teeth flashback episode is definitely my favorite episode of the entire thing, and maybe up there with one of my favorite Muppet things we've ever watched.
I agree with that.
But the 3 I wrote down are Bill Barretta as Dr. Teeth.
He was so good. I love Dr.
So good.
Dr. Teeth's one of my favorite Muppets now.
Yeah, Dr. Teeth's delivery of so many lines throughout this series is so good.
It's so funny when he is so I didn't love when they started getting into the social media thing, but what kicked it off when he tweets that tweet with using his made up words and it autocorrects to these bands all suck, but he's really these are the most splendiferous bands, and it's these are the most sucky bands. I thought that was a very, very good payoff to him talking like an idiot like that.
Right, when they're oh, because you don't speak in real words. This is why this happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's one of the things I love throughout the series that's not on my list of 3 things, but it relates to Dr. Teeth, is the times where they just let a joke sit and have an awkward pause or a pause for laugh kind of thing, and all the characters are just okay, that happened. Let's move on. I feel like almost all of those work incredibly well.
Yeah.
But the other 2 on my list are Taj Mowry, who I think is amazing.
He's
and I
so
want
good in this.
I want to see him do more things with Muppets or just in general. I feel like I haven't checked in on Taj Mowry probably since Smart Guy. So I thought he was great through this. And number 3, Penny Waxman.
Oh my gosh. New Muppet character, and they really nailed it with her too.
I
got a little
love Penny
confused
so
at the
much.
end when she suddenly started liking spicy stuff so much.
That was throughout. Early on, she's eating hot
was.
and spicy ribs in
that's
the
true.
second episode or something like that. So it is a character trait of hers. It is a little weird that they
Yeah.
lean so much into that character trait,
Uh-huh.
but it's there from the beginning.
I think that's funny that they set up also like her feet are so present throughout it. Like she's always getting her feet rubbed or like wearing compression socks.
Yeah. Oh, and I also remember the very first thing we see Nora doing is ordering a coffee drink for Penny that has like
with, like,
sriracha and all
in
this
it.
stuff in there. So
That's true.
she is known to like spicy things and also like having her feet touched.
Yeah, I feel like they could have picked one or the other. Maybe she would have been selling feet pics. You know, that would be the thing.
Maybe
made
that was
them-
their first idea.
Yeah.
Was like, oh yeah, Penny and Dr. Teeth are going to start selling feet pics on
Feet
the internet. And they're like,
Yeah.
we probably can't do that on Disney Plus. So
Yeah.
what if we did a spicy things YouTube channel?
Yeah.
And Leslie Carrera Rudolph, who plays Penny, did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Known mostly or most notably for performing Abby Cadabby.
Uh-huh.
She just did amazing. And I'm very curious about the behind the scenes because Penny is a big puppet.
She's big and she's got like both her working arms and she can walk around. She's like Tamanilla and like the king, I think, in the Frog Prince, where they are big kind of dome shaped guys who have both their arms and kind of uncanny but really cool at the same time.
Yeah, because they're not big enough to be like a Gorg. They're not like a full body
Right.
costume, but it's clearly a person. It has to be under there to make this work.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of times Penny is behind a desk, so people could be crouching underneath there.
Yeah.
But when she is, full body standing around, or at one point she's in a wheelchair,
Right.
being wheeled and is still talking,
Yeah.
there might be some remote control being involved there. But I was just
Oh, yeah, the
impressed
wheelchair thing
by
was cool.
the character
Yeah.
itself and the puppetry involved in having this sort of scaled up Muppet.
And yeah, I know another thing that people complain about is getting rid of the arm rods, but I did feel like this had a nice like focus on the puppetry of everything. It didn't feel like they were trying to hide the fact that they were puppets.
No, and in fact, a few times they apparently, again, something the internet brings up, I have no problems with. There's a few times throughout this where you can see puppeteers' heads, you can see the arm
Really?
rods, yeah,
That's
you can see
just
hands.
tradition, man. You
That's the
can't,
thing is,
you
like,
know?
I kind of like it, and like, there's a part in the episode where Morgan Freeman shows up, which is a thing that happens in this series.
Yeah.
Where you just straight up see like the top third of Dave Goles' face as he's like holding his shoe up to Morgan Freeman.
That's
And
fine.
I'm sure maybe at some point Disney Plus will go in and erase some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
How
there's
many
a few
times did we see Frank's big shiny head popping up, huh?
Yeah. I mean, hell, I think in the Frog Prince that we just referenced, you can see
Uh-huh.
his hand as he like goes to perform one of the characters.
There's
So
a
I
time
think,
where they're
yeah.
passing off a bunny where you can see a little bit more of a sleeve than I think that they intended. But
Yeah.
and another thing, speaking of Morgan Freeman, I really liked how cruel they were to all of the guest stars who showed up. Basically, like especially Weird Al, and and they were so mean to Kevin Smith, where he was like,
Yeah.
yes, I've directed several critically panned R-rated movies.
Well, and he's like, yeah, I've done horror and political satire and comedy. And Dr. Teeth says, and whatever the heck Yoga Hosers was.
Yeah. And first of all, who's gonna get that joke? Like,
Right.
how many people in the world know about yoga hosers?
There's like two jokes in this that I felt like were for the writer's room. Like they were for the people in the room thinking they were really funny, and they did
Uh-huh.
not care if the general audience liked them. Yoga
Uh-huh.
Hosers was one, and the amazing Meet the Feebles reference when Peter
That
Jackson
Meet the
shows
Feebles
up.
one, people are gonna be like trying to Google like what are the Feebles and being like, oh dear Lord.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people accidentally watching the Feebles pretty soon.
Yeah. And that wasn't even like a joke. That was like almost a plot point at that like they've canonized the events of Meet the Feebles.
Yeah, which now I feel like we have to watch for this podcast.
Ugh, I watched it on TV at 2:00 in the morning when I was 15 years old, and it scared the shit out of me.
Oh boy, that seems like the prime time to enjoy Meet the Feebles, but
I was like, oh, cute puppets.
oh
And then-
no.
Yeah. Oh no. Oh no. The most horrible things I've ever seen are happening. But yeah, it was like you could turn the camera around and Meet the Feebles, and the Electric Mayhem would be standing there being like, oh shit, what's going on?
Speaking of the celebrity cameos, I saw somebody say that their favorite Muppet cameos are when celebrities aren't playing themselves,
Oh.
but yet they're like popping up in a way where you're like, holy shit, it's Bob Hope.
Yeah.
But Bob Hope's
That's
an
the
ice cream
old
man.
style way of doing it.
And they were saying they liked that better
Right.
than the way it's currently done in this series and in other recent Muppet things where it's just Billy Corgan's here. Hi, Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, how do you feel? Because, like, we had the Richard Pryor, Steve Martin, Bob Hope, Joan Rivers, Peter Falk kind of thing
Uh-huh.
where these people show up and it's not Hey, Peter Falk, how's it going? I'm Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, that happened in this too, though, because Ben Schwartz does that, and so does
Christian
what's her
Shaw.
name? Yes, Christian.
Yeah,
Shaw.
those are the two I was going to point out. I was like, I
Yeah.
think they are a great example of using a famous celebrity in a way that doesn't have to be about them being a celebrity.
Yeah, and I was prepared also to be annoyed by the celebrity cameos in this, but I feel like the way that they did it makes sense because they established that the Electric Mayhem are famous and know everybody. So
Especially
it's
Lips,
not
who
weird.
knows absolutely everybody.
Yeah.
He's even Sophia Carson's nanny when she was a kid, apparently.
But I liked both kinds, and I don't really. I guess I don't really care. Cause yeah, they were showing up contextually. I think if it was like the Muppet movie, they were at that like fair, and Bob Hope showed up, and they were like, "Wow, funny man, Bob Hope." It would be like, okay, that's kind of a stretch. But yeah, I think the way that they contextualized it was fine.
I do think some of them are funny when they have to tell the audience who it is.
Really say who they are? Yeah.
My favorite is the Sophia Carson one. And Dr. Teeth says, like, "Thank you very much, Sophia Carson." And I'm like,
that's the only person I didn't know who it was.
I also don't know. She's incredibly famous if you look her up. And
she's got 21 million Instagram followers. So.
Yes, we are just out of touch old men.
Yeah.
But yes, I kind of appreciated Dr. Teeth doing that.
And then I could Google her and be like, okay.
Yeah. But I was like, I've heard of Zed. And this
Zed's
woman,
a real person?
Yeah.
Oh. See, that I didn't know.
Yes, Zed is a very famous real person.
Okay. He came across so poorly that I thought he was not a real person. But that's funny.
Yeah, Zed's a real man.
Okay. He's like the bad guy of that episode, which is interesting.
I mean, yes and no.
I mean, he's like he is tempting the band with like he's tearing them apart in a way, you know? He's introducing modern things to them that don't fit their style.
I think he's doing what he was hired to do.
Oh, that's true. But in the context of the episode, he is an antagonist. He drives away Animal, for God's sake.
Again, not his fault. Floyd says it. Lips hit the button.
He's the forbidden knowledge, though, you know?
He is he's the thing that kicks off that idea of the Electric Mayhem needs modern technology and modern producers to
and they
succeed.
kind of hate working with them, like by the end they're just like, this isn't for us, you know?
Right. They're like, yeah, this was fun, but you can have this song because it doesn't sound like us.
Right. Ben Schwartz is somebody that I could just see like talking to a Muppet all day long.
Oh, I want just Ben Schwartz and Animal like having a 2-hour movie together.
I wanted that to keep happening. I wanted Animal to keep getting more jobs and Ben Schwartz to keep showing up.
And Ben Schwartz getting just more and more frustrated with Animal as he just tries all these different jobs. The scene where he's trying to teach him how to answer the phone
was so funny.
Is amazing.
I don't know. It felt like there were moments in this that were ad-libbed, and I'm not sure if that's true. But like definitely in the Ben Schwartz one, I think there were probably moments that were ad-libbed. But throughout the series, I think it felt that there was a lot of really natural comedy parts that felt like, they just came up with that on set. That's fun.
Yeah, I have a feeling that is true, especially with things like, when you have comedians there specifically. I have a feeling like Christian Shaw and Ben Schwartz are able to improvise a bit where, maybe Zed is not an improviser.
Or a dead mouse, maybe.
Yeah, dead mouse, not an actor.
Yeah.
Not an improviser. His stuff was probably very scripted and he said it and he left.
Yeah.
And nothing to criticize Dead Mouse. I think that scene is funny, but, I don't think he's going to win an Emmy.
Well, he'll show you. I think another part that made me laugh just talking about improvised parts was when Nora's sister says BRB and Dr. Teeth says bring your own root beer. I feel like that was probably improvised too, and that was so funny.
Yeah, and the whole band's like, oh, yeah. That makes sense. No, I feel like, there's like a little tags like that to just end scenes where it's like, that joke didn't need to happen. Like, you could have just cut to the next scene, but it makes it better because there's just that little bit. And it doesn't feel forced either. One of the big things in this series are the Electric Mayhem's original songs. And when they put out the album digitally, I was a little... mad is the strongest word I could use, but it is so far from what I feel about this. I was a little bit, weirded out because they put out, a 22-track album that has... like the Sophia Carson version of Making Mayhem. They have like some score from Mick Giacchino. They have the end credits, all this stuff. And I was like, oh, you said the Electric Mayhem was releasing an album.
Mm-hmm.
This is a soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very small distinction. But when the whole, like, there was a very big deal made about the Electric Mayhem finally releasing an album, you can go get it and listen to it. Here it is.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, that's not really what you did. Except, Sam, I learned the vinyl doesn't have all those.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's just all the ones the band sang.
Yes, it is like their album. So if you go buy the vinyl record, that one is just the actual songs, I guess.
Does it have the same art as in the show?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, good job, production people.
Yeah, that was a cool cover. I like that cover. Yeah, I guess I haven't listened to it yet. I was picturing it being like little skits and stuff like an old Muppet album was, but I guess that's not the case.
Yeah, no, it is just straight up the, I think there's like 14 tracks on the vinyl. Interestingly, they pointed out on Twitter, and this doesn't happen in the show. We need to talk about this. There are no Beatles in this show.
There are two things that made me think maybe they listened to our show. And one of them was how much they teased that Paul McCartney, that Paul McCartney was going to show up. And the whole time I was just thinking about you being like, they're getting Matt's ass so bad right now.
It felt like a late minute addition where they're just like, yeah, we were going to put Paul McCartney in this show, but now we're editing him out just to make fun of Matt.
Yeah. And also Adam F. Goldberg's mom to punish her as well for spilling the beans. So what did she see? What was that all about?
A great question. People have theories online. For those who haven't followed this with us, I was looking for Muppets Mayhem tweets, and I found an old tweet from Adam F. Goldberg's mom on Twitter saying that she wanted to go visit the set of Muppets Mayhem because guest stars like Paul McCartney, she did say like Paul McCartney, were going to be on, but she couldn't because of COVID. And so I had reposted that on Commitment saying, guys, is Paul McCartney in Muppets Mayhem? Because that would be wild.
No, he was until you said anything about it.
Oh, yes, of course.
Click, delete.
Yeah, they just deleted that entire scene. But yeah, it's weird that tweet exists at all. Some people have said it was like a plant to generate heat for the show, which is the worst marketing idea I could think of.
They could have just made a lot of tweets about it, you know?
Well, especially
it was Disney's account or something.
It was a tweet to one of her mutuals. It has 3 likes and 100 views still. Wow. So it's, it's not, it didn't work if it was viral marketing. And also, why would you viral market based on a lie? So my assumption is that they were trying to get Paul McCartney
to show up.
He had maybe mentioned to his mom that they were talking to Paul McCartney. Right. And so she had it in her head, they're going to have Paul McCartney.
Well, if they used his picture, they probably had to at least talk to him a little bit.
Yes, maybe he was too busy to be in the show, but they came up with this gag of Lips getting a call from him and declining it as sort of the like, well, he can't do the show, but he wishes he could, so we'll put this gag in there.
Right.
But that being said, there is a Beatle on the soundtrack.
Is it Ringo?
It is Ringo. I mean, it had to be, right? Because there's only 2 of them still alive.
By process of elimination, yeah.
But apparently, on the song We Are One, which is an original song for this on the soundtrack, Ringo played the drums for that song.
What the heck? That's cool.
Yeah. Very weird.
Is that the only one he plays the drums on?
Yeah. And it's not even the song from the Beatles episode, like the Get Back inspired episode.
It's the one that they're playing at the bowl, I think, right? At the very end of the show. Is that one?
No, I think it's the one from the Minecraft episode.
Oh, yes, the Minecraft episode.
Which is a wild thing to be able to say about the Muppets.
Why did they do that?
I kind of liked it. I was really surprised that it's not an actual mod or DLC thing you can buy immediately. Because come on, Disney. Why would you not work with the Minecraft people? Clearly, you had to get approval. It said Minecraft on screen. It was real Minecraft.
And you made the guys.
Yeah. So why not release that as a downloadable pack the day this show came out? But yes, they did end up working with a Beatle on a song on the soundtrack, which I also there was a moment in some of the press interviews where I saw an interview with Floyd and Animal, and they were asked about their favorite celebrity collab, and they said they recently worked with Ringo Starr, and I was like, wait a minute, is Ringo also in this show? And Paul? Turns out no Beatles in this show at all, but
I'm
Ringo is on the
Ringo
soundtrack.
didn't pop up in the show. I feel like you could get Ringo.
It's weirder to me that he's plays on the soundtrack and isn't in the show at all.
Yeah. Maybe they cut both of them out.
We don't need the Beatles.
Yeah.
This band's bigger than the Beatles.
The other thing that made me feel like they listened to the show was that there's a whole episode making fun of the fact that Rockin' Robin is like to them what the height of rock and roll is.
Right, which you called out on this podcast
like,
previously.
They're not a rock band. They're a cover band who play the biggest hits, Rockin' Robin, and then that was basically the entire episode.
Yeah, when Muppets Mayhem was first announced, I think you were like, "What are they gonna do? They can't have Tommy Lee talking about the Muppets Mayhem being a rock band when they play Rockin' Robin." And it turns out that's a big plot point in this show.
Yeah, I did like that they just put they hung a lampshade on that immediately, where they were like, it's hard to wrap your head around that they're like a huge hard rockin' band and this is the kind of music they play, and they're just like, don't worry about it. We know, don't worry about it.
There's a number of Easter eggs throughout the series too that I think are obviously scattered throughout, some more consequential than others to the actual plot. One of my favorites that just barely squeaks by, you would easily ignore it, is when they're in the hospital early on when Janice is almost dying from being allergic to lies. You hear in the background a page for Dr. Osnowitz, which is Frank Oz's last name. At one point, they drive past a Doc Hopper billboard.
Oh, I missed that.
I think it's beginning of episode 2. If you look at the beginning of a lot of the episodes, there's like an establishing shot of the van driving through downtown Los Angeles.
Right.
In almost every one of those shots, there's a little Easter egg somewhere. One is the Doc Hopper billboard. Another one is the Pizza Twins restaurant, which is referencing the Great Muppet Caper. There's also 2 more, at least, Great Muppet Caper references. At one point, Animal tries to give Nora the baseball diamond. And at the end of the series, or closer to the end of the series, when Zoot has his art show, it is at the Mallory Gallery, which is where the baseball diamond was stored in the Great Muppet Caper.
Right.
But did you have a favorite of any of the Easter eggs throughout the series that actually caught you off guard or that you enjoyed more than the others?
I don't think I remember any of the rest of them. It caught me off guard when they found their old bus at the end. Because the whole time I was kind of like, what's this van? Like, they show them painting the bus in that flashback episode, and then they're just, like, driving this van around, and they never really, like, discuss what happened to the bus. So I feel like that was a little confusing, but also I was delighted when the bus came out.
Well, especially because in the production notes, I believe, for the ABC series is when they have that they have that new van in the ABC series. There was some reference to the fact that the old bus blew up. So that's the other thing I think we need to talk about is the canon of this show. We had talked about it a little bit previously. We had asked them about it in the interview. But the canon is pretty clear, but also retcons other things we already thought we knew.
Yeah. It feels like it's supposed to be a Muppet movie sequel, kind of, in a lot of ways.
Yes and no. Like, I don't know that there's much. There's obviously references to the Muppet movie in this.
It feels like that is maybe one of the only pieces of required viewing. Like, if you watch the Muppet movie, you can watch the Electric Mayhem movie and be like, I know these guys. They were in the Muppet movie, and they had a bus.
But also
That's
the
all you
Muppet
need to know
Show.
about them.
They are the house band on the Muppet Show.
I feel to me, one thing I was wondering when the show was coming out was, are they even going to be Muppets in this show? That feels like a line that they were almost like, should we include this line or not include this line?
Right.
Like, are they Muppets or are they not Muppets? And then adding Penny in, I think, kind of cements the fact that they are Muppets and that Muppets exist and they're not just a bunch of weird-looking little guys.
Right.
But,
that not every puppet that exists in this world is a Muppet to the humans in the world. So, like Nora doesn't look at her boss and say, my boss is a Muppet.
Right. Right. Which is how it's kind of always been. Like, you know, Muppets have existed in society in this universe, I feel like, at different times.
Is that
I mean,
true?
they have been Muppets, but you wouldn't be rude and say you're a Muppet, you know? Like Bobo the Bear in Muppets from Space, you know? He just works for the government.
You're right.
Nobody's like, this is a bear. Why does a bear work here?
They have definitely, like, Uncle Deadly and Bobo, again, working with the bad guy in the 2011 Muppets movie.
Right. He never says, I don't know why I'm working with a bear and a little dragon guy.
Right, yeah. Okay, yeah. So they have done that. There's also a lot of things throughout this series that we do learn about the Electric Mayhem. Speaking of sort of new canon, I tried to jot down a bunch of them as it went, but there was so many things happening in small mentions that I'm sure I missed a lot of them. But we learned that Zoot's last name is Zutkowski.
Yeah.
We learned that Floyd is much, much older than Animal because he raises him from when he is a baby.
Yeah, and he was discharged from the military.
Discharged from West Point.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we learned that Animal was an adorable little baby. Looks a little different than he does in Muppet Babies, Muppets Take Manhattan, but was an adorable little baby left on Floyd's doorstep for some reason.
I think if Floyd was also living in the shack at the time, it looked like. Like that was the same front stoop or something like that.
The timeline of all of these backstories is a little wonky, and I don't expect them to clarify it because they don't need to. But there are parts where I'm like, wait a minute, so was Floyd already with the Electric Mayhem and then got Animal? Were they how?
I think they're operating from the same kind of gray zone that we operate from, where Muppets are immortal. They are not.
Yeah, because these guys
necessarily
have to
aging.
be at least like 70 years old.
Yeah.
Like all of
Right.
them, they talk about how they've been on tour for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so, even bare minimum, they're 65.
Right. And Dr. T's flashback looks like he was like graduating from college like in the 60s, I guess, or maybe the late 50s.
Yeah, so that's actually the biggest. Obviously, there's going to be inconsistencies when they do that flashback thing. Again, I don't think they matter. I don't think they went far beyond the idea of like, they weren't like, hey, production designer, this is the year 1953. Everything must be canonically correct for the year 1953. Go.
Yeah.
So I don't begrudge them for any of the things I'm about to say. I just got obsessed with trying to figure out when this could have taken place, based on the cars in the background, based on, I did literally search how long does dental school take, the history of dental floss and the cases, to see if that was an invention that existed.
Oh man. They probably put stuff in there wrong just to mess with you.
Maybe not to mess with me, but I also think there's a line where you decide, is the joke better than the accuracy? The biggest one is calling the bus that Dr. Teeth's parents drive the Molar Express. Because the Polar Express book, the children's book, didn't come out until 1985.
Well, that's where they got the idea for the book.
Some guy saw the Molar Express when he was a kid and was like, that'd be a good children's book. But what if it was about polar things instead?
Santa or something? I'm not really sure what the Polar Express is about.
But ignoring the Polar Express joke that's in there, my best guess is that this takes place in 1965.
Okay.
Because dental school takes 4 years. They later say they were at Woodstock, which is 1969. So if sort of the bulk of this happened in 1965, they could be at Woodstock. But the vehicles present in this flashback are mid-60s, 1966. Like, there's a Mustang that drives by that's like a mid-60s Mustang. The bus itself, the Electric Mayhem bus that is converted from the Molar Express into the Electric Mayhem bus, is a 1966 school bus.
Okay.
So those cars can come out in 1965. Usually cars come out a year early. That's sort of the clearest timeline you can paint, is there's a couple cars from like 1966 in this flashback, and they say they were at Woodstock. And he also goes to dental school in the meantime. So, like, when is this sort of happening? Maybe 1965.
When do they pick up Animal?
Great
when does Animal
question.
grow up?
Great
How
question.
long does it take him to get big?
Yeah, does he grow extremely fast?
Or is he like Baby Yoda? He's 50.
But yeah, as far as timeline stuff goes and what matters, obviously none of that is that important. I do think it's still my favorite episode of the series. And it was just one of those things where
Despite all of the disgusting inaccuracies.
well, they're not even that inaccurate. It's more of like trying to figure out, okay, when does the animal thing happen?
I liked that episode so much because it did remind me, I think, of the kind of conversations we have where it's like, just like spitballing, because the only best you can do with these guys is just kind of guess what the hell's going on with them.
Well, because
And
we
I
had
like-
speculated about Floyd's military past in the
Yeah.
Rocky Mountain Holiday episode because he said he was stationed over in Europe.
Uh-huh.
And so obviously this new canon, he never was because he got discharged while in military school.
Right.
But that idea that he did have a military past did come to fruition.
Mhm,
Like that's still there a little bit. I did want to mention though the one thing about the area where Dr. Teeth graduates from dental school and meets Floyd like 5 times. That is clearly a backlot. Not again, not a begrudging thing because you have to use backlots when
I
you're
love a
filming
good
stuff.
backlot. Yeah.
It is the same exact backlot location that they later have the Rumble in with all of the music fans.
Well, okay. They only have so many backlots, Matt.
But does that mean they were in Louisiana when they got chased down by the Bieber fans?
Because they were still in Hollywood, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Again, they do a pretty good job of like hiding like that building for the dental school, the big columned building is like in the background of that shot. But as soon as they both popped up, I was like, I think that's the same town
I think
square.
also in the first episode when they are going on they're like, okay, we'll record the album, and then they go like on their break or they have vacation or whatever, and she calls them at the end, and Dr. T's driving. I'm pretty sure in the background it's snowy.
Yeah, and Janice is wearing a scarf and hat.
Yeah.
And it looks very snowy. And,
And
yeah.
then they crash off of a desert cliff.
Yeah. So
Which is weird.
there was a few times I noticed that specifically where the background footage when they're driving in the van, which feels like the most easily replaceable thing, was different than what the establishing shot was. One of them is like they start off an episode with the establishing shot of them driving past like the Capitol Records building or something, and they cut to inside the van, and you can see the ocean next to them, like they're on the coast.
Oh.
And I'm like, again, the nitpicky is what we're doing right
They're
now.
on the Pacific Coast Highway. Who knows how far away that is from where they were? I don't know.
I mean, at least a good 40 minutes.
Probably would take you a good hour to drive down there.
Yeah. And so, yeah, just a couple small things production-wise that I do want to nitpick. The eye lines are quite awful throughout
Oh, I'm
this.
bad at noticing stuff like that.
So at first, there's a couple times when like Nora's talking to Dr. Teeth or something like that, and she's like looking over his head. That one is like, I don't know. It didn't bother me too much because I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't know who's on set when, what's happening, whatever. But there's a couple times, specifically the biggest one that jumped out to me, when Hannah and Janice are doing yoga together. We see Janice sitting about a foot to the left of Hannah and is about a foot shorter than her. Every time they cut to Hannah's close-up, she's looking straight ahead as if Janice is a 6-foot-tall human sitting 5 feet away from her.
But wouldn't it look weird if she was looking down?
No.
Maybe the camera could. I don't think so.
I mean, that's where Janice is. We've shown her. We see her there. There's another one, though. The other one also involves Hannah. When Hannah and Nora get reunited and Hannah comes in and they hug and all that stuff, when they're having a conversation, there's a moment where from Nora's side, when we're showing Hannah's face, Nora is clearly, 4 or 5 inches taller than Hannah, like looking down, talking to her. And then on the flip side, it's like they put the actress who plays Hannah up on an apple box because she's taller than Nora in the flip shot. And I don't know what happened. Like, again.
Symbolism. It's symbolism. That's their power dynamic, Matt.
Oh, okay. Shifting back and forth throughout the scene.
Uh-huh.
All right. We'll say it's that. It's just one of those slightly distracting, nitpicky things that I felt like took me out of some of the moments. Specifically, the Hannah and Janice yoga one, where I was like, I just saw Janice is down to your left, like, and now you're looking straight to your left, as if Janice is a normal-sized human. But I wanted to get into the humans a bit because I haven't seen a ton of people criticizing the fact that this show talks about humans a lot. But I remember that being a criticism of the 2011 movie that people had, where they were saying that Gary and the Amy Adams character were too much a part of the story and they were taking some of the shine away from the Muppets themselves. Now, I am somebody who hasn't watched that movie in a while. I really enjoyed the 2011 Muppets movie when it came out. I didn't have those feelings, but again, I was not as entrenched in the world of Muppets when I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little surprised to not see that out there, people talking about that with this, because I think there are so many scenes in this that don't have Muppets in them that I'm surprised people aren't more upset about that.
I see a lot of headlines that say the Muppets are great, the humans are boring.
Yeah.
In like actual reviews of it.
Right. I think it's interesting that the human story is what drives this series, that it's Nora's story. The Electric
Yeah.
Mayhem are sort of passengers along for the ride who would have been perfectly happy doing exactly what they were doing at the first episode had Nora never intervened.
Yeah, but that's what makes the whole story go. I feel like it would be the same if the band was played by human beings, you know? Like I think they each kind of, even just the fact that all the Muppets get their own backstory, all of them have like their own internal struggles. We get to know them more than ever before. Maybe like to me hid the fact that it was about humans a little bit more than it was about the Muppet characters. Like they get more development than they've gotten in the 40 years of Muppet stuff we've watched, like in, you know, a 22-minute episode. I don't know. I think it bothered me more in the old Muppet, in the 2011 Muppet movie, because I might not be remembering this correctly, but I feel like the last shot of the movie is Gary, and he's just like, I did it, and it's not Kermit or anything like that, and it is just like, here's this random guy in this like the grand return of the Muppets. And at the same time, it's like the Muppet movie has proven, and a bunch of Muppet movies have proven that the Muppets can carry their own movie. But I guess with the TV show, it feels a little different to me for some reason. Even though I guess the old Muppet TV show also was basically all Muppets. Since there's no Kermit and there's no Muppets we know really well, you kind of need a person to be like, who are you?
Right.
Tell me all about yourself. More than if it was Kermit, because you'd be like, it's Kermit. I know that guy.
Yeah, I think the only thing that bugged me a little bit about that was the fact that the motivations behind the actions of the Electric Mayhem throughout the series are entirely caused by and then have to be solved by like Nora and the other humans. Like,
but they're innately passive characters anyway.
and that's, I think, the problem I'm having, is I think that like it's hard to do a show where your entire cast is passive.
But they're passive to the point where it becomes a conflict, you know? Like, I thought that was fine because their passivity is the problem. And
Yes.
it's called out so many times.
I would have liked it a little bit more if it was a problem for them. If it wasn't just something
Yeah.
getting in the way of Nora's success, like if they realized it themselves first.
That's true. I feel like they almost flirted with that. Like, the overarching theme is like addressing your past failures.
Yeah, and they're
Dr.
very
Teeth
good
does
about
that more
that.
with Penny than he does with the band.
Well, and they're all very good about calling out, specifically in the drug episode, the marshmallow episode. They each address their own issues of like Floyd's a perfectionist, Dr. Teeth can't commit to anything, Janice is trying to help everybody else so she doesn't help herself. And like these are all, again, great backstory moments and great things that I wish I had seen those maybe when we first were meeting the Mayhem in this series as like, oh, these guys are in trouble. They need somebody
Maybe
to help
things
them.
are a little rockier
Right.
with them.
But they
Yeah,
seem
that makes sense.
incredibly happy and perfectly fine not ever making an album and just touring for the rest of their lives.
They're immortal. They have forever
Right.
to do this.
And so I think that's from a big arcing story point, that was the only thing that sort of felt like similar to that 2011 thing where, okay, the Muppets were just like sitting around not doing anything. And then a human came in and was like, hey, I would like to accomplish this thing. And I need you to get back together to do it.
But they at least had Walter, who was also like, you're my heroes. I need you to be I need you to be the Muppets again. Right.
Right. This wasn't, yeah. And like, obviously, I don't think they wanted to do the like break up the band from the beginning. Like, they don't want the Electric Mayhem to be estranged at the beginning of this and them trying to get them back together.
That would have been annoying.
Yeah.
I did like that wasn't the case.
Yeah. It happens a little bit later on in the series,
Yeah.
but it just is, I think that's overall, if I have to find a gripe with the show, a show that I loved, and I have already watched all the episodes at least twice, some of them 3 times.
Wow.
So, that's the thing, is like I'm talking about a show that I really, really enjoy. And I think the more I watch it, the more I do enjoy it. There's lots of things to go back and rewatch and find. And there's certain moments that I maybe didn't love my first watch through, but after I watch them a second time, knowing where it goes, what happens, I enjoy it more.
Did you like the final arc where they get addicted to the internet better the second time?
No, not so
Okay.
much. There's something about, I think this goes back to your point about the Disney Plus idea of like the way streaming shows, but Disney Plus shows specifically, do this thing where they have pretty clear ideas for specific kinds of episodes they want to do. And sometimes it's like, okay, well, this is the episode where we're going to slow down and we're going to tell a flashback. And then like we don't need to like move the plot forward that much. It's just going to be mostly telling a story or a small moment. And I think we got that with that. We got that a little bit where it slows down for the documentary episode, where there's not a lot of progress in that. I think the problem is after the flashback episode and the documentary episode, I sort of felt like everything's fine. There's no real problems happening. You guys sorted out your shit and we can make an album now. This is awesome. This was the whole problem with the show. Right. And it felt like then they were like, oh shit, we still have 3 more episodes to make. What do we do?
Yeah.
Let's get them addicted to their cell phones and TikTok so that they don't make the album now.
I think if that, and when you saying that, I think if that story arc had been moved a little bit earlier, maybe in the set of episodes, where it's like a culture shock of coming back to the real world after being on tour for 70 years or whatever, for 20, however many years.
Right.
Then maybe it would have been a little bit more like, okay, we got them off their phones. Now we can maybe, I don't know. I just kind of thought like the whole like social media is bad message was also kind of like, meh.
It's also the easiest thing to date this show.
Right.
Like, in 5 years when TikTok's not the biggest app in the world anymore, people
or when they're tweeting already, when they're tweeting, it's kind of like, I don't want to hear about Twitter
man,
right
still
now.
on Twitter? Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, when TikTok gets banned in America, it's like, what's Animal doing? I don't understand.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that I didn't love the idea of having to like split up the band to cause extra conflict, and the fact of it being caused by the addicted to the phones thing wasn't my favorite.
Though Animal being a TikTok star, because he is an animal and people love animals on TikTok. That one almost did work for me.
Well, and Janice becoming a cult leader.
That one definitely worked.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. Those are almost like 2 different arcs that could have been their own multi-episode thing.
I love Janice's slow burn throughout this series of getting more and more wild with her. Like early on, she's just kind of trying to help out Hannah and Nora get back together. And then at one point she suggests giving Hannah a lobotomy. And then eventually she tells Karamo Brown to like shove it because he's like, yay, I don't need therapy. You need therapy. Get out of my face. Stay in your lane. And like then it culminates with her actually starting a cult. Is like, yeah, this all makes sense to me. It's wild.
Janice was like a standout character in this for me, I thought.
Oh, yeah. She mentioned she has a sister. She has a twin sister that she is estranged from, which helps Hannah and Nora reunite because they don't want to become estranged from each other. But that's obviously something we can tackle more in a season 2.
I just love that they did something different with her than just have her be like the bubbly-headed, like, happy hippie girl, and they got really subtly into, and the acting I thought on Janice was really good too. Like the performance of Janice I thought was great.
Yeah, there were times it was so good that I like almost stopped and reminded myself of like, there's just a guy down there. That's wild that David Rudman is doing such a good job. Just like
I'm fully invested in this character.
Yeah. Like there's just a 60-year-old dude crouched under that pillow talking like Janice.
Yeah.
Good job, sir.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I'm kind of interested in going through like character by character and seeing what you thought of all of them, like all the Muppet characters specifically.
Yeah, well, I think we could start with Zoot because I think there's the least to say.
Yeah.
I think Zoot is great. I think he has some shining moments during the designer mumble rap segment where he's just saying rap, rap song.
Yeah,
that's great.
He's like the only one who aged. He's like the only one who turned into an old man, and the rest of them are just forever young.
Yeah. He also has the weird thing where he is floating things randomly throughout the series. That's never really addressed, and
not even
the only people who
addressed.
really notice it are Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, and he starts talking to his shoe halfway through the show.
Who is alive?
Continues to talk to his shoe, who has teeth and is alive.
Named Jimmy.
Yeah, I think they could. I would have liked to have gotten a little bit more from him, I guess, but I don't know what that would be because it's not like we've ever really gotten much from him in the first place.
I think that's why I don't mind it that much. But when the other characters are given such a backstory and they flesh out the characters so much, it makes you notice when they don't do it.
Yeah.
And so we get so much backstory about Floyd and Dr. Teeth especially, but we learn quite a bit about Janice. And so when we just get like these little hints of who Lips is from other people mentioning that they know him, and then Zoot kind of doesn't get much at all, it just was more noticeable for me with Zoot that he didn't get a fleshed out backstory.
Yeah, I did like the payoff of him taking pictures at the end when they're like, we got on a camera so we could remember something.
I thought it was also interesting the twist of he has photos from their drug trips.
From their dreams.
Yeah, that was really interesting. Yeah. There's also, again, just to get my chronological what time does this take place thing, the camera that Zoot is using is a more modern day Polaroid that they show him using when they're painting the Electric Mayhem bus for the first time from the Molar Express to the bus. So
probably existed even after the Muppet movie came out, I would guess. Is it
it's like in the last 10 years.
2000? Okay.
It's like it has like Bluetooth built in. So it's I think it's just basically it's another one of those things where it doesn't matter at all. I think it's purely based on aesthetics where they're like, we like the look of this Polaroid. Let's make that Zoot's Polaroid.
Yeah.
But
I like also when he takes all those pictures on his camera and they're going to the cloud and then at the end they all rain down.
Yeah.
It was there is something compelling about Zoot's just traipsing through the world and everything works out perfectly for him. But
he also asks Charlemagne the God if he knows Santa
I
because
thought that was really funny.
because they think Charlemagne the God is the actual God.
Yeah, and Janice starts thanking him for birds and stuff. How about Lips? What do you think about Lips? I was prepared to just despise Lips.
I loved Lips, especially when when they first revealed this new Lips character at D23 of hey, he mumbles. That's his thing now. At first I was like, what's that's not a character.
That's other guys' things. We already have mumbling guys.
Yeah, but we've had enough other Muppets that is just a character trait of some Muppets. We have Swedish Chef, we have the Two-Headed Monster. It's like having another monster. You're not going to be like, ugh, a monster. We've got those already.
Yeah. And he doesn't mumble in the Beaker style where you just can't understand him.
Right, you can understand 50% of what he says.
Uh-huh.
And then if you have the captions on Disney Plus, you can understand 75% of what he says because they have captions for certain things that you wouldn't think would be understandable. But when you read the captions and hear him mumbling, you're like, that is what he said. No, I loved Lips. He is maybe the one who I was most excited by the story they started to kick off with him. And then it didn't really go anywhere.
About saving the world?
Yeah. I was like, where is this going to go? And I understand, I don't mind that it didn't go anywhere, but I was just I want to see more of that.
I also liked that he thought Nora was dead at the end when Animal.
He thinks everyone is dead
everybody?
throughout this entire series. He thinks Janice is dead.
Oh, he thinks Animal is dead too. Does he maybe
there's
think Animal is
3
dead?
or 4 times when Lips thinks somebody is dead.
I think it would have worked better at the end if they had all thought Nora was dead. If Animal was just confusing enough that they all because that was kind of abrupt when they all abandon their lives, even though Nora comes and begs them.
I did like the payoff that they momentarily thought Nora was dead. But yeah, that was a weird
if
one.
They had all showed up in their mourning clothes and they had been like, "Oh, guys, he's not dead."
Yeah, no,
I'm glad
just
he dropped everything to be here, but
yeah, no, there's I think Lips was a pretty strong character throughout, and I definitely liked him more than I ever have before.
Yeah, which is just seeing him, I guess, is as much as I've ever thought about him.
Yeah, it was kind of sad that he's not obviously in any of the Muppet Show flashbacks that they show because he was only there for the 5th season. So they keep showing all these old clips from old episodes of the Muppet Show, reliving old times, and Lips is not there for any of them.
Dope. He was not in the Elton John episode. He did not exist yet.
Yeah, he gets to be in the Rockefeller Center and the Outland Festival thing that they show, but yeah, he is not in their actual old times.
What about Floyd? Floyd is an interesting one to me.
Floyd is I think Floyd is the most relatable, of which he always kind of has been a member of the Electric Mayhem. But I feel like he is the most human in this.
Oh yeah, he's almost too human. I think.
He runs a music shop,
Floyd,
sweetly called Jerry's Music.
yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah,
that was nice.
But I think it's one of those things where I just I want to hang out with Floyd.
I feel like Floyd on the Muppet Show was a bastard. Though.
He was definitely a dick at times.
He's lost his bastard edge in this one.
Yeah,
where he was very mean to Miss Piggy. He's probably meaner to Miss Piggy than almost anybody but Kermit. I feel like
maybe he's grown as a person since then. It's been 40 years.
He's just lost his edge somehow. But he's it's important. He's the mouthpiece of the band in a lot of ways, just like he used to be in the old show. So I can understand the character development of him being the one you can actually have a conversation with.
Right.
But
he has to be, there has to be somebody in the band that you can have a conversation with.
Who's not a complete space case.
Yeah. Which they have now, basically half the band you could have a conversation with. It's Janice, Dr. Teeth, and Floyd are all reasonable humans.
But Janice is kind of a psycho, and Dr. Teeth is also kind of a psycho.
Yeah, I think those conversations won't be long, but you can
Yeah.
have a conversation with them.
Yeah, but you were all right with Floyd.
Yeah, I think it was just the flashback episode specifically. He's such just a decent dude. The fact that he adopted Animal, which is something we actually, I don't remember what episode it was. I think it maybe was like the sex and violence episode, even like the first appearance of them. We have speculated and talked about what the past of Floyd and Animal has been.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that. They seem like they knew each other longer than anybody else or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and I'd love to go back and find that clip of what we talked about with this, because when he seems like he is the keeper of Animal, he's usually holding his leash and keeping him at bay.
Right.
I know we had speculated about like how long they had known each other. What is this relationship? Is he his dog? Is he a friend? What is he?
The answer is yes. He's his dog and his friend.
I'm curious who left Animal on the doorstep.
His
why
family,
they chose
I guess. I wonder
Floyd.
if we'll ever find out about that.
It's definitely interesting. I think Floyd being that parental is really sweet, and him also. I think he's the one who I don't know. I can relate to his perfectionism quite a bit, but also I think he seems to care about all the other members of the Mayhem in a way that I guess he's maybe less selfish than some of the other
That's
ones.
what I was about to say too. Right now, Animal. Speaking of,
Yeah.
he kind of bothered me a little bit.
So
Especially after watching, spoiler alert, we recorded this after we watched Hinson's Place,
right.
where Frank has a quote that I've seen in other places before where he's like, Animal is like sex and pain, and you don't want to mess with him because he eats glass. And he was so sweet in this one. He was like a little sweet puppy guy.
Yeah, you mentioned the Floyd thing about how he used to be kind of a dick. And I think that's something that we don't see in non-70s, 80s style Muppets stuff, is I do feel like the edge has been filed off a little bit.
Yes. Somewhere along the way, they all the Muppets became like, they're always happy. See?
Yeah.
Because that scene's good, but it's also not entirely true because the Muppets are fucked up.
And that's
kinda.
that's I think the biggest criticism of the 2015 show that I disagree with is when people are mad that the Muppets are depressed or cynical or angry in that series. I'm like, yeah.
Did you ever watch the freaking Muppet Show? Come
We
on.
have plenty of Muppets where they're screaming at each other out of anger. And like the thing is that they always come back together and they're always end up being friends. But at the end of the day, like we have plenty of examples of mean Muppets. And so there is a certain edge to them that I think is gone and never will return. I do think there are moments throughout this that we get the closest we've gotten in a long time to some of that. Just in some of their backstories, there's definitely some more like adult moments, not like adult in like a dirty way, but like Janice is telling the story to Nora about how she met Floyd, essentially, how she ended up with Floyd. She's telling a story about a wishy-washy woman who couldn't decide between a musician and like a doctor or a lawyer or something like that, and like was going back and forth and couldn't decide who she wanted. And Nora's like, "Oh, was that you?" And she's like, "No, I swept him in there. I swooped in there while she was trying to decide and took Floyd." Like Janice is the Jolene in this story. So there's like a little bit of that where I do feel moments where these characters feel like adults. They feel like they can have conversations with adults and they feel grown up and they don't feel like they're puppets for kids. But I do miss that specifically with Animal, that element of danger that we only really see when he's threatening JJ.
Yeah. And not even really that heavily. He's kind of just breathing in his general direction more than anything.
Yeah, JJ's just afraid of him because of his general essence, not because of anything he's actually trying to do to him.
Yeah. He's like, and then when he tries to eat stuff, he's just like eats that record, but he's not going Cookie Monster crazy and like ripping stuff apart. And
right, even walking
there's
through the
not
glass door is just sort of like him being more depressed than angry or like mad.
Yeah. So I kept waiting for there to be a moment where it was like, Animal is unleashed now. This is what we've been waiting for him to do to like destroy something.
Right. That 2011 Muppets movie thing where it's like it
was like the anger management worked on him.
Right. We have to get him to break out and beat the drums because that's what our secret is. But yeah, he was maybe too relatable. But what about Janice?
I feel like we covered Janice a lot.
Yeah.
I love Janice. I think she was like, it was so nice to see all of these characters get to be characters, but I was just really happy with what they did with Janice.
Well, what about the man himself, the not so front man of the Electric Mayhem, Dr. Teeth.
I think one of the things I said I wanted from this show was to see Dr. Teeth do something.
Mhm.
I'm very satisfied.
Mhm.
He did a whole lot.
You and Penny
And I
both.
felt like I was, yeah, very satisfied. Disgusting. I feel like it was like very respectful to his character, which even barely existed in the first place. But I really liked him. He just seemed like kind of a nice guy.
Yeah, the idea to give him an entire flashback episode of his origin story, I think, is the absolute right choice.
And it's very funny that he actually is a dentist.
Yeah.
It's like the most obvious choice you can make, but it was still just
With the
like,
last name Teeth,
wow.
like he is actually Dr. Teeth. Like I think
Yeah.
that was the funniest thing is like learning that like, oh, Floyd Pepper, that's his name. He calls him Sarge because he was in the military. I guess because he's wearing that
Yeah.
jacket. I'm not really sure why he first calls him Sarge.
Yeah, maybe he just heard somewhere along the way that he went off to the military.
Yeah,
or
because he
something
like
that.
sees him after graduation and calls him Sarge. He's like, actually, I was
Right.
kicked out of West Point, and it's like, did you guys
Yeah, like
mention
Dr.
that?
Teeth, why would he be busking on the street if he was in the military? You freak.
But yeah, no, Dr. Teeth is sort of a revelation in this. I think both from Bill Barretta getting to do a lot of really fun things with the character, but also just getting so much good backstory, getting an incredibly weird, fun drug trip stop motion scene with
Yeah.
him that is.
It looked so good.
Yeah, they did like stop motion with. It looked like the figures that they sold, like the old Palisades or Diamond Select figures of the Muppets, in like a stop motion thing that was completely unexpected, but works incredibly well. And I think just adds to Dr. Teeth in so many ways, like both that flashback, his relationship with Penny, sort of understanding that he is also an older gentleman who is like afraid to settle down. Like he's like a lifelong bachelor kind of thing. But now he's, kind of into the idea.
Yeah, he was sweet. And they had a sweet I was glad that she wasn't like she plays Yoko in that
Yeah.
documentary episode, but I was glad that kind of like by the end of it they were like all the band was like, "Gosh, she's all right. She can stick around."
Yeah, it was a weird I don't know if that was my least favorite episode, but I didn't love it. The rockumentary episode. I think it just felt like they were doing things like the Yoko thing where it was like, that doesn't happen anywhere else in this season. Like there are certain things that they have to do in order to fulfill the rockumentary tropes they're trying to fall back on that like don't make a lot of sense with the rest of the overall story.
Yeah. And like the Yoko thing is it's like so fraught, and at this point it's like so much more complicated than just that she broke up the band or she was annoying or whatever.
Yeah, it felt like it was falling back on like the 90s stereotype of Yoko as opposed to actual Yoko.
But I like that episode. I thought that was a pretty fun one. But yeah, I think they did a really good job of making these guys like, it feels like now there's more than just Kermit who can anchor a show. Like they've proven that you can flesh all these guys out into being like super lovable and not just like the t-shirt version of themselves, basically. And then Statler and Waldorf show up at the end
Statler
too.
and Waldorf are there at the bowl to criticize the Mayhem's performance. The only, non-Mayhem Muppets that we get.
Classic Muppets. at
Yes.
least. Not Neo Muppets.
Correct.
Such as Penny.
Yes, but the only Muppets we've met before who show up in this besides the Mayhem are, in fact, Statler and Waldorf. Really the only surprise in this entire series.
There was I really thought Kermit or Piggy would show up at some point.
I thought we would have, a Scooter, a Piggy,
Scooter would've been-
something. Like you could
Moog
do it.
and Scooter they're too similar. You couldn't fit a Scooter in here.
Maybe they would be rivals.
Oh, that would be fun.
Scooter would be like, what the hell is you? What? Guys, I was free. I wasn't doing anything. You could have called me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want to talk about some things maybe I didn't like. And I know I've referenced a couple things already that were maybe not my favorite things. But there are some things that I genuinely hope can be fixed going forward if there's another series, a season of this, or just like didn't, even after the end of this, I'd say like overall, I give this show like a B+ in my heart. But the things that bring it down are almost all related to Nora. It is not Lily Singh. It is not her performance. It feels like this is the most confusing protagonist to feature in your show. There's a lot of telling and not showing in the writing of this show, where they're trying to convince you that someone is something, or something is dangerous, or something is funny, or whatever. It's not like a very common thing, but there's enough things that I feel like they're sort of over-explaining jokes at times. There's a few times when there's just like a, whoa, what's that? Whoa, where'd that come from? Or what's he doing there? That I'm like, your facial reaction was enough. I don't need a little bit of like there's a moment when Animal is coming through the floor to attack JJ, and he goes, that thing's coming through the floor.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that standing out to me.
And when Dr. Teeth has the Mai Tai in the hot tub, Nora like twice says like, where are those coming from?
Where did that come from? Right.
Again, very small things. I think the Nora thing is a bigger thing for me than those, because we are introduced to this character and we are told she is a type A planner, has everything figured out. She's also obsessed with music. Those are the things we learn about Nora and are supposed to take throughout this series, is that she's a very strict planner and that she loves music. The problem is, the only thing we really know about this character and are shown at the beginning is that this person who apparently has plans for everything in their life has a job she hates and lives on her sister's couch.
Right.
And the two are never really connected for us to show us like, okay, if you're such a planner with everything figured out, how did you end up sleeping on your sister's couch? Or,
right. And her sister even calls her like a planner and a type A person and never like connects the dots that she's a loser.
Yes. And that's my biggest issue, I think, is there's a lot of telling and not showing when it comes to Nora. They say how much she loves music, and music was such an important thing to her. But like, the only real reference we get is that her dad sang Joe Cocker to her when she was a kid, and that she mistook a woman for Tina Turner. Those are the two stories we get about her liking music.
The music thing, I think, was the biggest glaring thing to me. Like, I think we talked about this a little bit, like when she's buying all those albums, and it's like, why didn't you just have all these albums?
You don't have the best albums of all time if you're this huge music fan who works at a record label.
Yeah.
I just didn't believe that she was really into music.
I think there's something that could have been done with that, where it is like she lies to the Mayhem and says that she is a big shot. And it's almost like maybe we could have found out at the same time they did that she was a loser. And I think that would have kind of solved that.
Right, but she's introduced as a loser. The first thing we see her is in her rundown car getting coffee.
Being a loser. Totally. And not knowing the words to the Kiss song.
Yes. So yeah, obsessed with music. The first thing we see her doing is getting lyrics wrong to a very famous song.
Yeah. There's also almost maybe something funny about a person who works for a record label who doesn't know anything about music. And that could have been another like characteristic of her or something, like she lied on her resume or something, and that is what carries through. And at the end, she's like, I do love music or something. Or just being like, or if she'd been like, I am a loser, just like all of you beautiful Muppet losers are losers. We're a big loser family.
Well, I feel like that's where they try to get us to by the end of it. Like I think you mentioned earlier the Nora Gond thing, like the fact that the wrap up to the season kind of felt a little off when it just is like Nora decides that she's done, she's giving up kind of thing. And that's the thing that gets everyone back together is Animal goes and tells them that like Nora left, you guys, like we have to bring her back. And somehow like, I guess I didn't really understand why that was the thing that pulled everyone back together. Like I didn't necessarily feel like that affinity for Nora was there in a way that they could say like, Nora left, you guys. We have to go get back together.
It's almost set up in that things that more like if Moog had left, they would have been.
Because their
kind of
biggest
treat
fan
Moog like
gave up on them.
And they kind of treat him like shit a little bit throughout a lot of the earlier episodes, especially. But if at the end they would have been like, we have to show we care about Moog and that he's not just like, a consumer of our stuff, but he's Moog. We love Moog.
Right.
He got set up more for that, I thought.
Yeah, and I think it's I don't know. It's just interesting that I think the character of Nora and the choice to make her the protagonist is interesting because I also feel like there's a lot of inconsistency in like her intelligence level and the way she deals with Moog or the way she understands what's going on with the band. Like there's times where it feels like, okay, she's got it. Great. And like the next episode, she's like, nope, I'm doing this my way. You're wrong. And I'm like, okay.
I think a lot of that I write off as just like sitcom stuff,
Which is one of those things that maybe if this was on ABC and it was a weekly show and not a binge watch all at once thing, would
Yeah.
be more okay. It's like watching The Office and you're
forget
like,
that
oh yeah,
they-
Michael
yeah.
Scott's going to be terrible next week, just like he was this week. And like,
Right.
that's okay, whatever.
Even though he learned his lesson, he's still gonna.
Yeah. So maybe if there was more time between the episodes, I would be like not, that wouldn't jump out to me as much. But like watching her have like a heart to heart moment with Janice or somebody in an episode, and then in the next episode, she's like, forget all that. Let's go work with Kesha. It's just like,
Right.
it just felt a little weird overall. I guess I should ask, did you feel this way at all about Nora as a character?
Mostly the music thing was what, like her not knowing about music, and then them hitting so heavily that she was like, that music like saved her life almost in a way. In the middle, I kind of liked her because I kind of liked her backstory of like raising her sister, but I do wish that they had pulled out the strings of her being a loser a little bit more and like had her confront that a little bit more. But overall, I don't know. Overall, I liked her. I didn't have a problem with her. I didn't even have a problem with JJ.
JJ is used just enough to not be super annoying. I think if he had been around for even like one more scene, I would have been like, all right, get this guy out of here.
I thought JJ was kind of interesting because he was nice. Like, he wasn't really evil. He was just trying to do the best he could too.
I think there was just moments, and again, I don't know if this comes down to writing, directing, performance, whatever. There was moments where both JJ and Nora felt like they were maybe in a different show, where their comedy was just a bit broader and bigger than some of the moments that were happening.
Than Muppets, yeah.
Which is kind of
Maybe
wild.
should be.
That like the Janice is giving this like really heartfelt performance in a scene, and then it's like contrasted with some of that stuff. I don't know. It just, I feel like there's probably a lot on the cutting room floor of Nora and her character building moments that I think were maybe sacrificed to give us more Muppets character building moments. Because I just feel like she's a confusing character to me, and I feel like she is not given a convincing but also a clear character, like not a fully fleshed out character. There's like a lot of just them telling us she is obsessed with music, and we're just supposed to like take that at face value.
I think she has some nice relationships with characters. Like, I liked her and Janice's relationship, and that they shared their room and like had like heart to heart talk so much. And I liked her relationship with her sister. I thought was pretty interesting.
Well, I think that's the problem is like there are so many scenes that I do love of her, and specifically the, like you said, the relationship with Janice I think is really, really strong, and the moments with her sister. And there's scenes where I'm absolutely like, Nora is amazing. I love this character so much. And I think kind of like the Zoot contrast to the other Muppets getting their backstories, it's the scenes that are confusing or do counter what we've learned about her elsewhere that jump out to me more, because I'm like, well, those last scenes were all great, and I felt like you were a real, complete human being, and now suddenly you're fangirling over Zed and trying to do a weird handshake with him and picking up his Grammy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And it just was inconsistent, I think, is the biggest thing that I can say, is like, it doesn't, like, I don't dislike the character of Nora as a part of this show. I don't dislike Lily Singh's performance of Nora at all. It's just a little bit of the character itself. And so I wonder if there was more there originally to show us some more of that stuff that got edited out. I think it's also interesting when there's like examples of the better version of the same thing happening in the same show, where I think her going in full pantsuit, chasing down Zed on the hiking trail is very funny, and her like being a little bit of a stalker and chasing him down, and I think that totally works. So the fact that in that moment she is not fangirling at all about the fact that she sees Zed on a hiking trail, she is solely focused on the fact that I need you to help this band, to help my record label. That's the reason I'm stalking you right now, is to do this. And then the next episode, she's like, oh my God, it's Zed. It just felt inconsistent.
When I'm watching a show, and I think this is probably just everybody, I just try to take note of things that take me out of like the fiction of it. And I think for me, once they started getting into the like getting obsessed with their phones, that's when I felt like, oh, I know these guys well enough that this feels like something that wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And them breaking up is like the band breaking up is like kind of an overused thing, especially for the Muppets. They're always getting the Muppets back together.
Well, and the idea that this band has never had anything bad happen to them over the last 50 years, and the phones are the thing that eventually lead to them deciding to break up. It's like, really? That's the thing that forces this band that's been together forever to go their separate ways is Zoot realizes he can write soup jingles.
And I did like Zoot realizing he could write soup jingles.
Oh, him being an ad man in that giant office with Christian Shaw was great. One of my favorite lines of the entire series is when Nora and Moog come in and they end up just like, I'm going to just go over there and talk to him. And Christian Shaw yells, "I told them not to approach."
Yeah, maybe even like picking one of those things, like Zoot's like, "Oh, I actually sold that soup jingle I wrote, and now I'm a businessman." I think, focusing it around one of those things would have made it feel like they had so much ground to cover in the last 3 episodes that it just felt like, whoa, why wasn't this like sprinkled in a little bit more throughout the early part?
Or sprinkling in, I think, is a good way to do it. Is like, I think you concede that kind of thing early on of like Lips maybe getting obsessed with a phone early on, but nobody else. Or like you see Zoot starts tweeting things, like you get like a little bit more of that early on that like becomes a bigger problem later. Whereas it just felt like after the documentary episode, they were like, and now the cell phone chapter. And
also like the social media message doesn't really like ring entirely true with me and dates it, I think.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier.
It is like a little bit of a kids these days kind of moment where it's just like these kids in their TikToks. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, where her sister, who is like a successful businesswoman, is like, I'm living life now. I'm not experiencing it through the lens of my phone. Like,
it was very weird that she just gave up her entire life.
Yeah. You have a mansion, lady. You did okay.
She was getting 8 million concurrent viewers on her live streams.
On her makeup live streams. I feel like because we know stuff about this industry, it's like, holy shit, you're pulling down some money with that kind of numbers.
Yeah, that's the thing. The most viewed Twitch streams ever. Highest peak viewers on Twitch and YouTube all time. You want to know what number 1 is? 3 million.
Yeah, so...
Not even half of what
Nora's sister would have like a product line in Target, and like everybody would know who she was.
Yes, Hannah is the most famous influencer in the world.
Yeah. So I think maybe just being a little too close to the subject matter was also.
It's the same thing whenever they show. There isn't that many in this series, but like when I see somebody show a YouTube video going viral and it'll have like 3,000 views, and I'm like, guys, come on, do your research.
Yeah.
That's like 2007 numbers or something. But it's a little bit of being too close. And I also understand the thing of like, how do we show that she does have a big audience? All right, make it a big number, 8 million.
2 million's pretty big number too.
Yeah. And so, I don't have really a problem with Hannah's story. I actually like Hannah a lot as a character.
Yeah, I like Hannah too. I kind of thought her and Moog were going to have a little thing going.
I was kind of hoping, honestly. Yeah. I was hoping it was going to be this whole thing where Moog wants Nora, but then realizes that Hannah is actually maybe the better choice for him.
Moog's attitude towards Nora was a little weird to me sometimes. I thought he was a little more possessive than he should have been.
Yes, and I also don't necessarily... This sounds mean, but like, I don't know how to say it otherwise. I don't know what he sees in her.
Sure.
Like, she's charming, she's sweet, like all those things, but like, I don't see anything in their interactions that makes him like her.
No. And her and JJ kind of do make sense.
Yeah, she has that realization too. Where she's like, oh, I don't know how I feel about you right now. And I'm like, that makes sense.
Like if JJ hadn't taken it too far, then, their breakup was a little fast for me too. I didn't quite understand what he did exactly, except maybe manipulate things behind the scenes a little bit more than he should have. Yeah,
a little inconsistency there as well. And I think Moog, I do like that they don't just end up together. Like they don't end up dating at the end of this or whatever. Yeah. But there was moments where it felt like Hannah was trying to console him a little bit about like, hey man, it's okay. Like whatever's happening. That I was like, oh, maybe these two should date.
Yeah, they looked at each other a little too long in that scene for me to not think that. Yeah.
And maybe it's a nice little moment of them both being like, is this? Maybe. Mm-hmm. And maybe it is. But I just don't know what about Nora makes Moog go, oh my God, I'm in love with this woman. I have to impress her. I have to do all this stuff. Because like he's constantly just telling her what she doesn't appreciate or doesn't get about the mayhem, why she doesn't appreciate him or his demo and all this stuff. And
She won't even listen to his damn demo tape.
Yeah.
Come on.
Which I was really afraid for a long time, like we weren't going to hear it ever. And I was like, they're bringing this up a lot for us to not ever hear this. So I like the twist that it was like his producing demo, not him recording his own songs.
Yeah. I agree.
Which I don't know if that's a thing that anyone actually does, but
I don't know.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also was like a little bit just kind of hoping that they would decide to be friends as well, or that he would go with Hannah, because I don't understand that relationship really, other than just beyond a crush, which is like, fine for a certain aged character.
Yeah, but Hannah seems nicer and more competent than Nora.
Yeah, it's just weird to watch a dude who's like our age have like this sort of like crush that's to a level where you don't see any of the faults or the fact that you don't really have anything in common, and you're like, I don't care, I have to do everything to get her.
So overall, I think this show was really good, and if all Kermit did was get like 5 more people to watch this show, I feel like and just like give it a chance and go in with an open mind. I know everybody listening to this, there's no chance you didn't already watch it, but like tell somebody to watch this show. It's charming, and I think it is an easy show to get into once you give it a chance. If you know someone in your life who doesn't like Muppets, just say, hey, come on, Muppets are all right. Look at these guys, they're so cute.
No, I would encourage everyone to again, you've probably watched it at least once if you're listening to this episode of this podcast.
Yeah.
But if for some reason you haven't, sorry for all the spoilers. Go watch it, and I would say, encourage your friends and family to go watch it.
And if this is the model of stuff, Muppet stuff, for the next 5 years or 10 years or whatever, I think I'm okay with that. If we get like Fozzie and his human friend, if we get like Gonzo and his human friend, I think I'm okay with that. I think that's it. I think that's what people these days are ready for, or like is what is needed probably.
Yeah, I would be very curious to see what comes out of this. If it's just a season 2, that's one thing, that's fine. I would be curious to know what is that next show, though, of is it a Pigs in Space show? Is it something that's sort of in this same world but not directly connected? I'm fine if they just go completely, each show kind of has its own canon. We don't necessarily need to connect all these things.
Oh, that'll bother me really deeply. But
I think if it gets too close and doesn't connect, that'll be a problem. Especially if they all reference the Muppet Show, but then don't connect later on. That might be weird. But I feel like there's characters you can do a little bit more with that you don't need to connect it to this show.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall, I do really love this show. I didn't want to ignore some of the things I didn't like about it in our conversation, so it might have sounded more
journalistic
negative.
integrity.
Yeah. So it may have sounded more negative than I actually feel about this. I have happily rewatched episodes of this show. I will continue to until we get the next Muppets thing, whatever that ends up being.
And you gave it a B, is that right?
Yeah, I give it a B.
I give it an A-.
Yeah, I don't find the humans as boring as some of the other reviews have maybe said.
I didn't either.
But I think if I had to nitpick and pick something, the human characters are where I tend to have more issues with it.
It probably also helps that we have watched so much stuff and seen so many bad episodes of The Muppet Show where I'm just like, terrific.
Yeah.
I like
this. Ain't
I
no
like
Spike
this.
Milligan. This is
exactly.
This is so much better than that.
Yeah.
So, Sam, I know we just, marathoned through 10 episodes of a TV show in the past 4 days. But did you have time to do anything non-Muppets related this week?
I didn't really actually watch anything else. I watched the Steven Seagal movie Under Siege, which
that's, when you're going to make time for something, that's really what you got to make time for is Steven Seagal movies.
it was directed by the person who directed The Fugitive and has a bunch of people who end up being in The Fugitive.
Oh.
Like Tommy Lee Jones is the main villain. And actually, aside from Steven Seagal, it's a very good movie, and Steven Seagal is awful. But, I'd recommend it. But that's really, I haven't gotten to play Zelda because my parents are here this weekend. I haven't even downloaded it or nothing.
Oh,
and
wow.
I've still been playing Fortnite a lot. It's the Star Wars event, so you can get a lightsaber. And I actually won my first 2 games because I'm so good with the lightsaber.
Nice.
But then it'll go away, and then I'll be back to sucking.
Well, speaking of lightsabers, I'm still playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor. which I maybe mentioned at the end of an episode that comes out next week. But I've been playing that a lot. I have played some Tears of the Kingdom. I downloaded that and played some the day it came out. It's a lot of fun, Sam. It's also extremely overwhelming because I keep seeing all these different builds that people make of these flying cars and stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do that.
You will. You're Matt Gator, so you can. I feel like your superpower is figuring out things instantly, so you'll get it. Yeah, it's a good time for me to bear. Like, I have an alert set up for commitment on Twitter, so basically the only time I look at Twitter is when you tweet stuff, and otherwise I'm just off Twitter because it's disgusting.
That's a good call.
But it's a good time too, because sometimes when I see a commitment tweet, I'll scroll a little bit and see like somebody with a video of something they're doing and so then be like, I don't even want to know one solitary thing about this. I'm ready to let it just wash over, to take a couple days off work maybe and let it just wash over me.
Yeah, no, I think I am going to have to finish Jedi Survivor before Tears of the Kingdom, before I really dive into it, which I thought I would want to, just purely based because like two big story-based games. But that's even more true now that I've started playing Tears of the Kingdom, because I keep trying to do moves from Jedi Survivor in Tears of the Kingdom, where I'm like running towards a thing and I'm like, I can just jump and grab onto that ledge and then I fall out of the sky.
Oh dear.
And I did that like 5 times, where I just kept trying to jump and climb on things the same way you can do your platforming things in Jedi Survivor. And it just works a little different in Tears of the Kingdom. So I need to get Jedi Survivor fully out of my head before I can move on to the controls for Tears of the Kingdom. The other thing I've been watching is some Kraken hockey playoffs, baby.
Oh.
They're still there for now. As of recording this episode, they are in round 2 of the playoffs. They are going.
How many rounds are there?
4. So they have right now, they are going to game 7 of their current best of 7 series. So they are tied going to the last game of the series. So Monday, after recording this, is their do or die game tomorrow night. So by the time you hear this on probably Tuesday, they will have either won and gone on to the next round or have lost and are out of the playoffs.
Oh, well, I mean, they made it at least. I feel like that's a great achievement.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I am just savoring this feeling of them being in the playoffs, because
after seeing some of your tweets where you're like, this team's bad at the beginning.
Well, they were very bad last year, and this year they thankfully have gotten better. I actually thought of one more last thing I wanted to say about the Muppets Mayhem that I really enjoyed, and that is in the credits at the beginning of the episode, we get to see the names: David Rudman, Bill Barretta, Matt Vogel. They put the puppeteers' names in the credits and not like Dr. Teeth, Floyd Pepper, Janice. That doesn't always happen in Muppets things. Yeah. And so I'm glad to see the puppeteers getting the respect they so rightly deserve.
Man, all of the puppets are so, like, all the Muppets are so great. The voices are great. The performances are great. That was like it was just delightful to see that.
Yeah.
Be so well done.
Yeah, no, it definitely felt like the puppeteers enjoyed what they were making. And there was a lot of heart put into this. And that's why, like, now that you say that, I realize I had no problem with any of the puppeteering or the puppets or the Muppets themselves. Like, there was never a moment where I was really like, what is that guy doing? Or what is this choice? Like, that's weird.
Not that there would be or anything,
no.
But it's just like, it just feels so good. Like, to see a well-performed Muppet, no matter how many times you see it, it's always just like, I believe in you. You are a guy. You are a little guy and my friend.
Yes, they felt extremely human at times, even between the times when they were floating, talking to Weird Al in the sky.
Yeah.
But before we go, we want to let you know that next time, we referenced it a couple times already, we recorded that episode already, it'll be our 100th episode of Commitment.
Look at us.
Look at us.
So old now.
These old men talking about Muppets on the internet. We are going to celebrate 100 episodes by answering some questions and emails from you, the listeners. And we're also going to be watching the 1984 documentary Henson's Place, The Man Behind the Muppets, which covers Jim's entire career up to that point, like the first 30 years. You can watch it on archive.org and also maybe on Canopy.
I couldn't make it work, but
Yeah, so it says if you look it up online, there's a website called Just Watch where you can look up where you can watch things and what streaming platform they're on. It says it's available on Canopy, which, if you don't know, is a free video streaming service where all you need is a library card to log in and watch things. And for some reason, it says it's on Canopy, but we couldn't make it work. So maybe it's your library.
It's really library by library. Yeah.
Right. So your local library might allow you to watch it on Canopy. Ours did not. So yeah, give Canopy a try. You can actually find DVDs of this out there. You can find them on Amazon and eBay sometimes. So it's viewable on archive.org at least, but there are other places to find it. And before we get out of here, we also need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com to pick up a Commitment logo enamel pin. And you can contact us there. There's a little contact form if you ever want to reach out to us and ask us a question or just say, hi, guys, good podcast.
Oh, thanks.
You can also email us at mail@commitment.com if you also want to say, hey, guys, nice podcast. Or you can do that, Apple Podcast. You can leave 5 stars and say, hey, guys, nice podcast. There's so many ways.
P.O. box still?
Yeah, we do.
Matt's looking up the P.O. box, I can tell. He's fully turned 90 degrees to another computer.
Yes, I have it right here in front of me, Sam, that information. Our P.O. box, you can send something there if you'd like. Letter. Some people have sent us like old Muppet Show newsletters that are delightful to have. We appreciate those. But if you want to send something to our P.O. box, you can send it to attention, Matthew Gatos, that's me, Commitment, P.O. Box 16434, Missoula, Montana 59808. But you can also follow this podcast on Twitter and Instagram at CommitmentPod, where we post about the things we're going to watch and send out the links so you can also watch it along with us. You can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.